Well, the time is fast approaching for All-Star 2019 in the Queen City of Charlotte. Friday, February 15th with the Rising Stars, and of course All-Star Saturday night on the 16th, and the game itself on the 17th, exclusively on TNT. Who wants to see the Eastern Conference?
We all do, Ernie. America's waiting with bated breath.
So here's your other captain. LeBron's one captain, and the Greek Freak is the other captain.
Deservingly.
4.4 million votes received.
Oh,
4.4. 27 points a game is number 9. 13 rebounds a night is number 6. He's shooting 58%. Oof. Has 16 games of 25, 10, and 5, the most in the NBA. Who's on the front line along with the Greek Freak? How about Kawhi Leonard?
Well deserved.
Third All-Star selection in his 8th season. 28 points a game is number 5. That's a career high. 8 rebounds a game is a career high. He has 15 games of 30-plus and a high of 45 for the 36-14 Toronto Raptors. Joel Embiid, the third frontline starter from the East, second All-Star appearance. 22 games of 30-plus. He's got 40 double-doubles, tied for the most in the league.
I know he's a warrior.
27 points a game, 13 rebounds, and he's 7th in blocks. Jason Tatum finished 4th in the balloting for the front court. In the backcourt, Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
6th appearance in 2019. 24 points a game is 15th in the league. He's had 10 games with at least 10 assists this year. He only had one game like that last season for the 30-18 Celtics. And Kemba Walker joins him as an Eastern Conference All-Star starter. This is his 3rd appearance and his first start. 25 points a game, 13 games with at least 30, had 60 against the Sixers in November.
Yeah, 60?
D-Wade and Ben Simmons tied for 3rd, with D-Wade getting the nod for officially the number 3 spot by virtue of the fan vote. So Kemba Walker for the Charlotte Hornets, and how cool is that going to be in a place where he's played his entire career in front of his folks there in Charlotte and getting a chance to start in the All-Star game.
I've been blessed to be a starter at home in the All-Star game, and there's nothing like it. And Kemba's been fantastic all year. He don't get a lot of love. We don't show the Hornets ever. Ever. But hey, listen, I'm happy for him. He's a great kid. He's a hell of a player. Good for him.
I mean, at his size, to be able to dominate the game offensively the way he does, James Harden-like, 25 points a game. Kemba says he's 6 feet, but I would guarantee you he's 5'10", without question. And to get into the lane, the ball handling wizardry, and we talk about Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry's handle all the time. I put Kemba Walker's handle right in there with them and say, let's go at it.
How about that backcourt? The handles in that backcourt with Kyrie and Kemba.
And I think he totally got in because of the way he played. These two knuckleheads over here, record this and record that. The guy's a hell of a guard. He's actually playing like.
Yeah, but their record's pretty good.
No, it's not. They're one game under 500.
No, they're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs.
24, number 7.
They're in the 7th seed.
If you're under 500, it's not winning. Don't even try.
Don't even try. But you can still get in the playoffs, and they are number 7.
Hey, listen,
he's an all-star, and congratulations.
He's in the playoffs if the season ended.
I'm not taking a Nick. I'm taking but I'm going to take him.
Let's see how the breakdown went for the fans, etc. So the fans wanted the Greek Freak and Leonard and Embiid. That's what they got. They wanted Irving and Wade, but as we told you, D-Wade just missing out as he finished 3rd. The media. How did the media vote? Greek Freak, Leonard, Embiid, all getting 99 votes. And you saw Tatum, Siakam, and Vucevic. The guards, Irving and Walker. And how did the players vote?
Got to be interesting.
Well, they got it the same way.
Okay, good.
So Giannis Antetokounmpo, by the way, in the player vote.
They voted the same way, but more votes went to Kemba from the players.
In the player vote.
Because he deserved it.
No, I'm just saying. It was voted the same way, but it was a landslide.
Which player got the most votes, East or West, in the player vote? Who do you think?
Giannis.
Giannis, yes, he did.
Yeah.
He got the most votes.
Yeah,
and also, but the thing that also happens when the players are voting, and again, this 17-page breakdown, you can go through it and see who else.
Some crazy ones.
We'll let you go.
Who else got votes?
Some crazy ones.
Khem Birch of Orlando.
Who?
Kem Birch, K-H-E-M, Kem Birch, who's
You
played
can
in
spell
20
his name
games
any way you
for
want
the
to. I
Magic.
have no idea who that is.
Come on, man.
Walter Lemon of the Celtics, who played 5 games last year.
See, they
got a
used to be
vote.
joking around.
See, now it's people.
Dante
Should
Grantham
have
of
got in. He should have got in. Celtics 30 and 18.
Dante Grantham and Wenyen Gabriel, who have not
Them
played.
guys
Who
walked
have not
in,
played this year.
Walked in and bit me on the ankle. I wouldn't know who they were.
Why would they
And
bite you in the
see,
ankles?
you are allowed to vote for yourself. I don't know that those guys voted for themselves or if a buddy voted for them, but
Well, who would bite you on the ankle? Why would they walk in
It
and
was
bite you?
rhetorical, fool.
No, but that's not a saying.
yes,
if they
it is.
walk me in and slap me on the back of the head, I got it. But walk you in and bite you on an ankle?
What if I just slapped the hell out of you on national television?
I would love to try it.
I have a question for
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
How do you feel about D. Wade?
Great guy, great player.
But, I mean, now he's relying on coaches to try to
Wade-
get him in. I mean, and look, I know you've always said this is not a lifetime achievement award, but when you come to the end of a career and it is the last year for D. Wade, isn't there part of you that says, boy, it'd be nice to see him at All-Star Weekend?
Well, for me, I don't look at it like that because there's guys who might not, this is why I don't like it, Ernie. There's guys who only going to make the All-Star team one time in their life. This might be their only time. And Kenny talks about it all the time. He says that he had one regret. He never made the All-Star team. Probably the times he deserved it, and they gave it to somebody who was more popular. And listen, we all love Dwayne Wade, but listen, on these reserves, there's some guys I'm pulling for who this might be the only time in their life they're going to make the All-Star team, and that's why I don't like that.
I mean, it'll be nice for the game, nice for the fans, but D. Wade is definitely a Hall of Famer. But what I know about him, he don't want sympathy votes. So I think he would probably say, I'm not playing like the old D. Wade. I'm not playing like an all-star. If I get in, cool. But if he doesn't get in, I don't think he's going to be complaining.
Or maybe
I think we could do
maybe there
some-
would be a way to recognize
There you go. That's
D.
what I was
Wade
gonna
at
say.
All-Star Weekend.
I think that's what should happen. I think that Adam Silver, and he's been doing this farewell tour, giving jerseys.
He still
How
might
about
get in there.
how about if every All-Star gives D. Wade a jersey during the game because he's been on this farewell tour? I would.
They didn't do
love
that for
something-
Charles.
Well, Charles didn't. We didn't know he was on a farewell tour. We just thought he was playing bad. So, difference.
Oh, that was nice.
Wait, he got shot in his last game.
Oh, that's true. True,
did
too.
what?
But he made the
you run up
All-Star-
and down the court, a sniper got you.
But I just think that we could do something to acknowledge him. I don't know about
Well,
making
Ernie,
it, especially there's some Nets and some.
No, we're going to get into all of these
but also,
reserve possibilities in
Magic.
just a minute.
The players didn't vote for him. They don't want to see it. When you put up, he wasn't in the top 5 on the player votes. And I mean, like I said, that's no disrespect. The guy is an all-timer.
But it's a weekend for the fans, isn't it?
It's
You
a
could
week.
get him, put him in a skills challenge.
Yeah, put him in a skills challenge.
So why y'all change the voting process then?
No, Ernie wanted to. Ernie,
No, but I'm
Ernie
just
living in,
saying.
Because I think.
Y'all also worry about the fans and why y'all
But
switch.
they also worried about the players not being able to vote, and they also worried about the people who cover the game not
It's
being
always
able to
been
vote.
about the fans. It should always be about
Well,
the
I
fans.
think that the media who
I think
covers
this combination's good.
Yeah, I think the media who covers the game has a big influence on what the fans think as well. But I also think the players who play the game should have a vote as well. So
Yeah.
it's a
They do.
And
Right,
if we,
that's
and
why they
if we didn't have the player vote, we never would have said Kem Birch tonight, and we've said it now 3 times.
Please, can we get a
As a
picture
matter
of
of
this
fact.
dude?
Hey, do we have?
I guarantee you, y'all don't have a picture of him.
Yeah. Kemba Walker's coming up next, by the way.
Hey, now, let me ask you a question.
And we have Kemba's reaction to getting the news that he is an all-star starter.
He didn't know. Oh.
I think they kept it pretty tight, pretty close to the vest
That's awesome.
during the most of the day. He made it, well deserved, that's for sure. And when we come back,
It would have been terrible if he was sitting there and didn't make it.
yeah, we will be chatting. We will be chatting with Kemba
Hey,
Walker.
first of all,
Now, I'll tell you, we wouldn't have showed that piece of video.
That's exactly right.
My goodness. I hope you ain't got some guy who didn't make it up there sitting in some city.
Like,
Here's
wait,
Kem Birch.
y'all got me on the show and I didn't make the team.
Oh, my God.
That elbow and it worse on the three-point line, so now you're in the scoring area.
Dude, let me tell you something. We could sit there and talk about who it's against or what. When you sit there and play and you've got 21 games in a row with 30 plus, you put 61. I don't care if it's rookie level against a 9-year-old on 2K. You do it with the big boys. James Harden looking for that second straight MVP. It's clearly not a limit, and let's be fair. Defense, not necessarily if you could score every time up and down the floor. Top 5 single game scores at MSG since '68. Melo, 62. You want to talk about opposing players? Boom, right there. And sandwiched he and Kobe are between Melo and the great Bernard King. And Jordan, by the way, had a few of those at the Garden as well. Smitty, we always talk about this. You talk about this, right? First game, I believe, if I'm correct, right? Was your first game at the Garden, or am I wrong with that?
My first game was against the Knicks, but it was
against
in
the
Miami.
Knicks.
But I will say, let's go, Casey. Once I was talking about it, it's always you're measured about how you play in the Garden. Even back when I started playing before that, it's the electricity of the fans, it's the knowledge of the fan, it's the passion we talked about, Ryan. And then give James Harden credit. You know what guys have done, no matter what. People say you don't look at stats. You know what Kobe did when he came into the Garden. You know what Mike did. And he is on a tear. The one thing I love about James Harden is there are some great players. He loves to play. The reason why I say that, he plays just as hard, does the same thing in the Drew League.
Yep.
He is playing Drew League basketball in the NBA. And this is no disrespect to the NBA. He loves the game. You don't see a guy with his stature going and playing in the summertime the way he plays. And that's why it's showing right now how much he loves to play. He's the best left-handed scorer I've ever seen.
And look, we had PJ Tucker here on with us on Arena Link on Game Time a couple weeks ago. He said, look, this is the first guy in, the last guy out. Sometimes it's overused, but that's our best player and the MVP, and he's working. It's hard to imagine a guy after last season could get better. Has he actually gotten better, or are we just watching more of the same? And maybe he's taking on more, so we're seeing it more exploited because of the fact that he doesn't have as many teammates.
It's funny you heard him say his legacy was on the line. And this was a team that was in 12th place in the West. They were in danger of actually missing the playoffs. CP goes down. Gordon gets hurt a couple games later. So his legacy was pressed. Now they're 5th in the West, but it's been on his back. And I had to question, hey, is he going to have enough down the stretch or even during the season to actually put his team in position to be in the playoffs? Then Capella goes out, and we all go, man, I don't know what this is going to look like. Boom, 62 in the Garden. How many 30 straight plus games? So his legacy was on the line. It was there, and he's responded much more than even anybody could have expected.
Casey, I want to say thing, and Ryan, thank you, Sam Presti, for not keeping because it seems like he's always a good player. It seems like that was the boost. And that was that little jab because he wanted to be in OKC from my understanding.
Yeah.
He is taking his level. I'm not a third option now to Russell Westbrook and KD. He's taking his level game to another level. So I want to thank Sam Preston and OKC because we're getting a chance to see.
With Smitty, too, we talked about this earlier. Defensively, he's a capable guy, and he has defended better. What have you heard James Harden in the post-conference talking about, yeah, we had to defend. When we defended, things happen. He doesn't have that luxury anymore. So you got to give even more respect to a guy who gets a big-time steal at the end of the game after scoring 60 points. Most guys who score 60, they're taking a night off and letting P.J. Tucker and those other guys, but he was right in the fold of things.
The other thing is, look, has at times been questioned for whether it's with the talking or how he presents himself, maybe not being a leader, all the postseason stuff, and he's going to need to obviously have that huge postseason where maybe he has that moment where he takes everyone on his back. But isn't leadership giving more effort and showing that in the face of adversity, you're the example? Because I don't know about you guys. I know people at home are. You're watching as these guys drop, him play harder, more effort on defense. Take more time on the court, have to take more shots clearly, but that is leadership, right?
It is, and if you're around a guy like that, seeing what he's doing night in, night out, this is a guy who's going through double teams, getting to the line, he's getting bumped. You can't be out of shape being able to play this way because it will catch up to you. This is showing you what he's doing when he's away from us, the television. He is putting in even more work with his body. James Harden scores. You don't do this some games consecutive of 30 points? 21 now.
21, yeah.
This is something that's unique. You can score the basketball, but you usually have one of those nights when you're off. And to me, the first thing that goes, Ryan, is your legs. Look at his free throw percentage. Still high, 22 or 25 tonight.
I hope they let him sit down in a chair when he got back into the locker room. Here's more from Harden after this great performance.
You know, I wanted to be aggressive tonight like I've been this entire season. And, you know, I'm just happy we came away with the win. Like, every game isn't going to be perfect. Some nights we're going to shoot the ball great. Some we aren't. But as a team, we got to be able to fight and consistently have our defense on pace. And tonight there were some ups and downs. But like you said, with the absences with those guys, wins are all that matters.
Is it special for you to tie the opponent's record here at Madison Square Garden for scoring?
Yeah, This is one of the historical buildings in a sport that we have. Obviously, the fans are one of the best that we have in this league, and so it's pretty cool to come out here and just put on a show for them.
At this point in the season, what do you need to work on as a team to move up?
We have to get healthy. That's the most important thing. We get healthy and we'll move forward from there. But obviously, Clint is out a little bit longer, but Chris will be back very soon. And as long as we can get healthy and catch a rhythm, everything else will be great.
When you raised your arms after the final dunk, was it over just finally securing the win?
Yeah, for sure. We let the game slip away 3 times. And we've seen that we've been allowing that to happen these last few games. And when we have opportunities to close games out, we have to do it. The mental mistakes, we weren't focused, and we give them opportunities, give them hope at the end of the game.
When you were asked yesterday about a Garden moment, will this do?
Yeah.
You guys just, James, you just finished this one. We've got Toronto coming up next.
Big time.
What do you think about that match?
Big time. I mean, every game for us, we're down players, so every game for us is a big time game. Like, we're not going to overlook the Knicks. We're not going to overlook the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, we know there's a difference, but for us, we have to be focused, for every single game and every opponent.
Got a lot of landmarks. What about a career high tonight?
In the Garden, I'll take it.
Does it mean more to?
We need to make a run or
Yeah.
go ahead, it seemed like. I mean, did you have to cut short your rest at all tonight?
It's been happening, but, we're limited guys, and so whatever I have to do to try to win games, I'll do it. And Coach knows that.
James, when you score 61, and on a night like this when you can get to the line 25 times, how much pride do you take in the fact that you can win games that way as opposed to just hitting outside shots?
There's multiple games. There's a lot of ways you can win games. You could be hot one game. You could not be hot. Some games you got to rely on your defense. Some games you got to slow it down a little bit more. But the shots that we love to take in our offense, we'll take them every single game. Obviously, all of them don't go in. So you got to find other ways to win games. And when we needed to get stops, we did that.
Can you tell us about Mike D'Antoni's coaching style and what you learned from him?
I mean, honestly, playing for Coach, he gives, not only myself, but just the entire team a lot of freedom. Like, he doesn't really yell. He just lets you go out there and play. All you have to do is go out there and do your job. Play extremely hard and play, within your role. And that's all that matters. I know a lot of coaches have, strict rules and, players aren't allowed to do certain things on the court, but he just lets you go out there and play free. And that's the one thing I love about him. He's a real players coach.
James, I know it's a team game, but that Toronto game, what's it like to go up against Kawhi?
It's not even just Kawhi. Toronto has a really, really good team. They're probably one of the deepest teams we have in this league, and so obviously Kawhi is a catalyst. But Kyle Lowry, he's healthy. Siakam is playing very, very well. Serge, their entire team. You go down the list, and anybody on their team can get it going. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us.
Did you tune into the crowd at all? Like, they would cheer you on some plays and then boo you when you go to the line. It was kind of, they couldn't figure out.
They can figure out what they wanted to do, but I appreciate them though, honestly. Like tonight they kept me going and made the game exciting for me.
Do you see that everywhere you go? Conflicted fans?
No, you don't. You don't. That's why this place is special. I'm just happy,
Because they appreciate good basketball.
Exactly. And I'm just happy I can give them a 61. Appreciate it, y'all.
Thank you. James referencing exactly, we were just talking about what growing up a Knicks fan, you notice it's odd that way because they are so passionate, but even at times, not maybe in the playoffs, when Jordan during all those battles is going up, there is like a respect level that's kind of weird. Like they can't figure out whether or not they love somebody or they hate somebody. But James Harden clearly was doing what he could to utilize that energy. That last play, look, that steal, come on.
Smitty, this is the playground, though.
Yes.
New York, it's at the plate where, your game earns that respect, and that's what you have from the crowd in the Garden. So as a Knicks player, you probably hate it when they're cheering for the other team, but it's a playground type of who has it, who doesn't. You're on the biggest stage of basketball. That's what you get in New York. And then a guy like Harden, he literally said, this was fueling me. It was fueling me. They kept me going. And then you go for 62 and actually play defense on the other side. That's the Garden.
Here's the thing, too. We were talking about this, and I think this is important to bring up. Clearly, what James is doing may be another MVP, Smitty. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. We're talking about, is he the greatest, this, that, whatever. Have we forgotten that the season started, it was, if Chris Paul wasn't hurt last year, the Rockets maybe beat the Warriors. Okay, they lost some defense. We understand that, not discounting it. Where are they now? Because we're seeing him drag everyone in the back and go. When CP3 and Capella get back and they get towards the playoffs, what kind of Rockets are we looking at now?
Well, we're looking at a Rockets team right now should be built for the playoffs. And I think the one thing is you go through what they did last year and they lost. And, yes, it's a big loss when you lose Luke Bahamute and Trevor Ariza. But I look at it right now is you've been through adversity last year in Game 7. You've been through adversity with no Capella, no Eric Gordon this year, and no Chris Paul. It comes down James Harden will not be scoring 60 every night in the playoffs. Now can we have somebody step up, make those plays off the basketball when they decide to double James, when they play good defense, when he's out of the lineup? Because there's going to be times he's not going to be able to play 48 minutes. You're going to have some other guys to step up, and that's where Chris Paul will come and play to make those other plays for guys.
I think about Russell Westbrook, think about AI during his day, and there were a lot of others, but great offensive players who at times the comment was, well, they're trying to take too much upon themselves. They have to find a way to divvy it out more. We know what he can do with Capella, what CP3 can do last year. A lot of dribbles, but there were other guys making shots. How does this version of Harden now tone it down when these guys come back, considering the fact they're winning games the way he's playing?
See, the thing that people don't appreciate about James is that he plays winning basketball, and how he's willing to go out and get you 20 assists if you sag off all night long, or if you throw a double team or you play a traditional coverage in the pick and roll, he's throwing that thing up to Capella time and time again. What do I mean by traditional coverage? Playing a drop coverage with your big, and now James is baiting you, and you got to pick your poison. He's either shooting a layup or he's throwing it up to Capella. He'll hit that corner skip time and time again. That's why they're playing winning basketball. You see guys like Gary Clark, James Ennis, Gerald Green knocking down corner threes. Now they are going to get tested even more with Chris Paul out. Obviously, Gordon is back to help. You saw it against the Lakers. The Lakers threw a junk defense out. They said, P.J. Tucker, go get 20. Okay, James Ennis, go get 20 points and see if you guys beat us. And the Lakers were up big. Philadelphia has success with it. And you're going to see teams that actually have the personnel starting to wear James down. And a lot of teams with younger defenders or don't have enough, because you got, Smitty, you know it, you got to have 2 and 3, 3 and 4 defenders to actually guard them. They can't get physical with him. You got a young team like the Knicks, they don't know how to guard him without getting whistled for a foul. But if you're a Philadelphia, as you brought up earlier, we were talking about a Corey Brewer or a guy that's long and rangy you can throw on him. That's going to start to wear down James. But for the regular season, I just don't see it being a problem.
You know, for me, is you always had great players. In my era with Michael Jordan. But the one thing you look at is you see their numbers. And the first thing I did when we weren't playing against Michael is go to the other guys. And that's when you start to see the Scottie Pippen with 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 steals. It's not to 50. It's not to 40.
Didn't need it.
He didn't need it. But that's where you start to see, wow, this team is built more than just their superstar. And like tonight, Eric Gordon having 20, that's huge. You can get 20 points on a guy who had 38 attempts from the field, 25 attempts on the free throw line, and you can still come up with 20. That's showing you where these other guys are going to be needed to win basketball games and ultimately to win a championship.
That's why it's scary watching the duo of George and Westbrook right now, right? Either one could take over the game and the other one could take over the game at the same time. Nobody taking over our game like Ryan Hollins.